What's up, Otaku fan? We are back with reactions here for the channel with some more Emirichu moving. I don't really know what this is about, but it looks like we got some manga paneling going on here. Emirichu becoming a mangaka confirmed.
Ooh. I would read it.
Anyways, thank you for the support. Be sure to comment, like, subscribe. Every little bit helps. Check out our Patreon, link down below for full uncut reactions to TV shows, animes, and movies. Let's hop on in.
Moving 3,000 miles away is an interesting experience. You get used to living in one place for most of your life, memorizing the routes to all your favorite local spots and the addresses of your closest friends. And then suddenly, you're packing up boxes, sorting through a decade's worth of long-forgotten items, deciding what to keep and what to throw away forever, and wondering if your friends will still miss your presence when you're long gone. You might assume I'm talking about my move to Japan. But this story is actually about the time I suddenly moved from New York to California many years ago. If you're a longtime viewer of this channel, then you've probably already heard me mention this particular life event several times, but I've never really gone into detail about it, so today I'll be sharing this story with you through a sort of manga-esque style.
Ooh.
Reason is, I'm practicing for Kadokawa's Wordless World Manga Contest.
Oh.
Kadokawa is a multimedia publishing company behind works like
Also,
Nichijou,
Geeks Plus
Future
parent
Diary,
company.
Oshinoko,
Oh, okay.
and Dungeon Meshi, and they've asked me to help promote this contest in search of inspiring
yeah.
artists who want to potentially work with them on
That's so cool. I want to do
Like
that.
to say, it's Geeks Plus parent company, so just saying.
their own
so
manga
fun.
series. So if that sounds like you, then keep listening. As the name suggests, this manga contest is wordless, so anyone from any country can participate without having to worry about language barriers. Your manga can be anywhere between 8 to 60 pages, and submissions will be reviewed by actual manga editors. So if you've ever dreamed of one day making your own manga, then please consider checking out the contest info and participating. There will be a prize pool of $36,000 US, and the contest submission deadline is February 28th, 2025. More information and official guidelines will be in the description down below, so check out the contest link if you're interested. I will most certainly be entering, so to fit the theme of today's sponsor and to get some paneling practice in,
Okay, so
I've
this
decided
video
to make
is
this
not
a
the manga
manga-style
contest.
storytime video. Now let's continue from where we left off. For the first 15 years of my life, I'd gotten used to life in New York. It was all I knew. I'd attended school with the same familiar classmates, made countless trips to the same familiar library over the years, and lived in the same familiar house since I could remember. Now as a high schooler, I've gotten used to the familiar routine of walking to school every morning with my childhood best friend and neighbor, Carmen. We'd known each other since we were in kindergarten, but our friendship was rekindled in middle school when we took the same bus home one day and she showed me a book she was reading about dragons. And since then, we'd basically been inseparable. During our walks with our friends to and from school, we'd sometimes plan out where we'd eat for dinner once we graduated high school, where we would celebrate, and where we might even go to college or settle down. It was always assumed that we would cross these milestones together. And then, my world was turned upside down on one New Year's Day. As soon as the clock struck midnight, my brothers yelled, "Happy New Year! You're moving to California! Happy New Year!" What? Yeah, you're gonna be a California girl. Look, you got blonde highlights, so you'll already fit right in. Are you joking? I'm still going to school. When are we moving? Next month. So you should probably start packing soon.
Damn.
What? I was somehow the very last person in my family to be made aware that my dad had received news that he was moving job locations, and starting in just a month, I was going to be living on the opposite side of the country. And of course, the first person I alerted was Carmen. It was, as you might have guessed, devastating. Her parents had even tried to convince my parents to let me stay with them at least for the remainder of our sophomore year, and they would take care of me, which was an idea I was super down for considering I basically half lived there already. But it was no use. Starting early February, I was going to be in a new school, living in a new state, and had to figure out how to make new friends. Admittedly, I didn't really handle the move super well once I had the time to process it. There's a reason why there's so many gaps in my memory when I try to recall that specific year. And even while scripting this video, I had to call my parents and friends to see if they remembered anything.
Damn.
It feels like it's been like a million years, and my brain has fully developed since then, so a lot of it honestly feels like a blur. But I remember feeling so angry and almost determined to hate California. After we got situated in our new home, I spent a lot of nights crying into my pillow and feeling sorry for myself and being a negative Nancy about everything. You know, typical teenage angst and rejecting change and all that. I I hated the perfect always sunny weather. I hated our apartment and its ugly dirt-colored carpeting. I hated the palm trees. I liked In-N-Out, so at least I had that going for me. When I tried In-N-Out for the first time, I thought it was so incredibly delicious, I ended up eating it 5 days in a row. It was one of the few things that gave me solace in a time where I looked for misery in everything. And when I started attending my new school, that was when the move really hit me and I started feeling the loneliness. It was so different in every single way. The student population was more than double the size of my old school, and strangely, the whole campus was outdoors and entirely ground level. So the hallways and lockers were all outside, and some of the classrooms looked more like cabins lined up next to each other. Since I moved in the middle of the school year, seemingly out of nowhere, a lot of people automatically assumed I was a foreign exchange student. Plus, I feel like by the time you're halfway through high school, most people have figured out their friend groups by then.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure if there was really a place for me here. However, I will say, the nice thing about the school campus being outside was the fact that the lunch area was huge. You could eat in the cafeteria, or you could eat out on the lawns, or sit at one of the many tables outside, so I didn't have to go through the awkward teen movie experience of carrying my tray through a cramped cafeteria looking for a vacant table where it would be obvious I was by myself. I could just plop down on the corner of the lawn and go unnoticed. And on one fateful day, someone walked up to the corner I was sitting at and asked, "Hey, do you want to come sit with us?" And it was none other than the anime club. I knew my people would find me one way or another. And from that day forward, making friends was a lot easier, and I started hating California less and less. It's true, the power of friendship really is the strongest force. In the end, I ended up adjusting better than I expected, but I spent that first year comparing absolutely everything to my hometown and telling Carmen all about it over the phone. And there were a few words I quickly discovered were not used as often here, and I thought were pretty interesting. Example, back in my old school, whenever you needed to borrow a sheet of lined paper, you'd ask the person next to you, "Hey, do you have a sheet of loose leaf I could borrow?" That's just a phrase I got really used to for years, right? So during one physics class in my first week, I turned to the person behind me and asked, "Hey, could I borrow a sheet of loose leaf?" "A what? Loose leaf? I don't think I have any." "Oh, okay. Excuse me, sir, do you have any loose leaf I could use?" "What? Loose leaf paper? I'm afraid I don't know what that is." Lined paper? "Oh, yes, I have plenty of lined paper. How many do you need?" I still don't know if it's like an East Coast term or something, because I was under the impression everyone used that word.
It must be, because we've all called it loose leaf paper too.
Yeah.
So I think it's an East Coast thing, because we live on the East Coast.
Because we would say loose leaf paper, not loose.
Yeah, but I mean, you would still know if someone said loose leaf that they're talking about loose leaf paper. Nothing else is described that way.
Sheet of paper.
Yeah. It must be an East Coast, West
That's
Coast
funny.
thing. Otaku
But
fam,
to
let
call
us
it
know
as
down
lined
below.
paper, that's kind of funny. Lined paper.
I've never heard it called lined paper before, but you know.
So if you have any idea, please let me know. Another time, I was over at a classmate's house doing homework, and their sister had asked, "Do you guys want any pizza? I'm gonna order some." "Oh, sure. How many pies are we getting?" "Oh, pies? You want pie?" No, like pizza pie?" "Pizza isn't pie." "Yeah, but you call a whole pizza a pie. Why do you call it a pie? Pies are a different thing entirely." The pie chart.
We don't call
like
pizzas
pizza.
pies here
It looks
either.
like a pie. I stopped calling pizza pie after that. On the opposite end, though, I started picking up on some words too. About a year or two after the move, I was mid-conversation with my brothers when I responded with something along the lines of, "Oh yeah, I'm hella stoked for that." What the fuck did you just say? Did you say hella and stoked? Ugh, that's so California. Yeah, all the New York just left your body. You're a full California now. Ew. And of course, eventually when I became an adult and could finally afford to visit New York again after so long, the first person to greet me at the airport was my best friend, Carmen. And even though it'd been about 5 years since we last saw each other, and we'd both grown so much since then, it was as if no time had passed. I found out that a year after I moved, Carmen had written a poem about her fear of the distance between us, which actually ended up winning its way into getting published in a poetry book. And I think it's really beautiful and touching, so I'd like to share it with you today. Read by Carmen herself.
Once with trembling hands, I chopped off your hair. Thick, straight streams of black, cut with wishes of bangs and layers, fell to the floor. But it was alright, you said. Through the comments and the teasing, you were still beautiful to me. But now it has changed. You're different from the style that I once knew, from the style that I once created. Each picture I see of you now, your hair is cut, trimmed, tossed, feathered, colored, bleached, and different every time. Shorter, but just as pretty. But I never saw a goddess go. And with each trim, you cut off every strand that connects you to me. Soon the hair that I once touched, suffocated by the loss of love, will grow too far from your mind and will be snipped away.
It's been 12 years since
Aw.
that poem was written, but I think it's nice to look back on a time when everything was so uncertain and know that some friendships really can survive the hurdles of time and distance. I think one of the greatest difficulties of moving anywhere is the uncertainty of knowing whether or not the friendships you've made will last, or if they'll slowly fizzle out, as many naturally do. When you become an adult and start living life, you'll start to realize that a lot of your friendships in school were built on proximity and routine. And there's of course nothing wrong with that, but you'll find that making friends is easy, but maintaining them gets harder.
Yep.
I think my first moving experience helped me prepare myself for even bigger life changes down the line. Like when some of my close friends moved away, or when my parents both moved back to Korea, and especially when I made the decision to move to Japan. I live in a completely different
Well, she
time
said
zone and
what?
country now, but I think it's only strengthened the bonds I have with the friends who've always been there for me. And hey, if we can survive witnessing our cringiest hormonal years together, we can survive anything. Thanks so much for watching.
Oh,
Oh,
that was sweet.
that was. Well, I hope we get to see this wordless manga that she's going to enter for the competition whenever that happens. Hope it's easy to find if she doesn't just post
Yeah.
it somewhere for everybody to find easily.
Yeah.
How you doing over
That
there?
made me happy, sir.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. Oh, my little empath.
That was really sweet.
It was.
God damn
No,
it.
no, baby's all happy, sad.
Okay.
No.
Oh, God, no.
Thank you guys for the continued support. Let us know what you thought down below. We will see you for the next video. Bye.